Welcome to NEXTGames Geas Fete series. This video covering the Reisenjima Tier 2 NM Bashmu. Now in this video we'll go over Bashmu's abilities and the strategy I recommend you use against him, and then I'll show you a battle example of the fight against Bashmu using the ninja job with the warrior sub-job. Now Bashmu is a Hydra with access to all of the usual abilities that a Hydra is going to use, including Pyrrhic Bulwark, which is a physical shield that will last up to a minute, Polar Bulwark, which is a magical shield that will last up to a minute, Pyrrhic Blast, which will do frontal fire damage and plague, Polar Blast, which is frontal ice damage and paralyze, Nerve Gas, which is AoE curse and poison, Borrow Field, which is frontal wind damage and weight, and Trembling, which is AoE physical damage and dispel. The last one here is Serpentine Tail, but you're normally not going to see this unless you're fighting him from the rear, and I don't suggest you do that as it can do massive damage to you and your trust and those rear target. Now Bashmu is going to begin the fight with a Water Spikes effect that can be removed with Thunder damage. Using heavy damage weapon skills, skill chains, and magic burst will possibly cause him to lose one of his 3 heads. Now if he loses one of those 3 heads, he will lose access to Polar Bulwark. Note though, that ice spikes will go up and you will need to remove those using some fire damage, so be ready to do that once he loses one of those heads. Now if he loses his second head, he will lose access to Pyrrhic Bulwark, making the rest of your run much simpler. Now you should have a minimum of 1350 accuracy for this boss. Now Bashmu will start the fight greatly favoring its magic shield ability. It will then switch to favoring its physical shield ability once that first head is defeated. Now at 25% hit points, he's going to use Chain Spell. If none of the heads have been removed, this is where things will get a little more tricky, as he's going to spam Blizzaga 5 and Waterga 5. Now if one of the heads has been removed, he will spam Blizzaga 4 and Waterga 4, and if 2 heads have been removed, your life's going to be very easy and he's just going to spam Blizzard and Water single target spells. Now taking all of that information into account, there are 2 main strategies that you can use on this particular NM. That first strategy is going to be to simply use a multi-step light skill chain with dual thunder magic burst, and then of course once that first head is down, switching to dual fire magic burst. This has the highest likelihood of removing the first head, and you will want to quickly do it again with the fire MB as mentioned to try and remove the second head. This will make the rest of the fight rather trivial if you can accomplish this. However, due to the constant use of bulwarks, getting in multi-step skill chains on this one in addition to magic burst can be quite frustrating. So I really don't recommend this strategy, and especially with the amount of damage that you can put in these days, I find my recommended strategy gives much better results and much quicker wins. Now this second strategy that I mentioned is to simply spam Blade Shun with dual magic burst. In my experience, this has never removed a head, and therefore you normally only have to contend with Polar Bulwark for the entire fight, making your run much simpler. Now obviously, stop dual magic bursting when that magic shield is up, otherwise you're just wasting your time. And note that he can still use Pyrrhic Bulwark occasionally, and you will just have to wait until it wears off if he happens to use this during your run. The only downside to this particular strategy is it makes the last 25% of the run a little more tricky. This is of course because after Chain Spell you're going to have constant GA 5s coming at both you and your trust. Now on the plus side, normally these days your trust have enough MP to cure you through this, and if you're on point, you can actually end up getting all the damage necessary to take the Hydra out before Chain Spell is even over. Now in regards to trust selection on this one, I recommend Joaquin for marches, Koromoru for haste, Monboro and Yoran Oran for cures, and Arkiv to tank. This allows you to get in as much damage as quickly as possible. Now if you find that your mages are running out of MP with the strategy that I recommend, especially during that Chain Spell portion, try using Cestus in place of Joaquin and use Dual Wield 20 in your gear set. This will only reduce your DPS a little bit and make your life much easier for that last 25%, as Cestus will be restoring HP and MP to your group, allowing you all to get through it. That's going to be all you need to know in order to take this one on. Let's go ahead and see what the full battle example looks like. Enjoy the run, everyone. That'll be it for how to take on Bashmu. I hope you found that helpful. Next week, we'll take on another Tier 2 NM. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. Stay safe and stay healthy out there.